The desert planet of Iridian stretched endlessly under a pale orange sky. Winds carved strange shapes into the sand, and the sun scorched the surface with relentless heat. Few dared to explore its vast deserts, but Lena, a young archaeologist with a sharp mind and a brave heart, was not like most people. She had spent years studying legends of an ancient civilization that once thrived on Iridian, and one story had always captured her imagination, the Tomb of Eternal Silence. The tomb was said to hold knowledge and wisdom beyond imagination. Its creators were known as the Viuri, a civilization that valued learning, science, and peace above all else. Many explorers had searched for the tomb before, but none had returned. Lena, however, had spent months studying satellite maps and old records. She had found a possible location beneath the shifting sands of the Siler Wastes, a remote desert where few dared to tread. Lena stood at the edge of a steep sand dune, her eyes fixed on a dark shape half buried in the ground. The wind carried tiny grains of sand into her eyes, but she ignored it, adjusting her goggles. "There it is," she whispered, her voice barely audible even to herself. The tomb entrance was massive, a dark gaping hole framed by weathered stone, with strange symbols etched along its surface. She crouched down and brushed the sand away, revealing more of the carvings. They were intricate, unlike anything she had seen before. Lines and curves formed patterns that seemed almost alive, glowing faintly in the sunlight. Lena ran her fingers over them and felt a slight vibration, as if the tomb itself was aware of her touch. Behind her, a figure approached carefully. It was Miro, her longtime friend and tech expert. "Are you sure this is safe?" he asked, his voice cautious. He carried a pack of equipment and a portable scanner, always ready for surprises. Lena smiled. "Nothing worth discovering is ever completely safe. Look at the carvings. This place is old, but it's not dead. The Viuri left something here. I can feel it." Miro shook his head but helped clear more sand from the entrance. The two of them worked quickly, their movements careful but determined. Soon, they could see a narrow corridor leading down into darkness. Lena's heart beat faster. She had dreamed of this moment for years. "We should call Sana," Miro said, pulling out a communication device. Sana was a historian and linguist who had helped Lena decipher Viuri texts. She would be able to read the symbols and understand the riddles inside. Lena nodded, but when Miro tried to turn on the device, it did not respond. "Strange," Miro muttered. He tapped the screen, but it remained dark. Lena frowned. She had read that the Viuri tombs were designed to protect their secrets. Perhaps the tomb blocked electronic signals. Lena took a deep breath and stepped forward. "It doesn't matter. We have what we need. Let's go in." Miro followed reluctantly, his scanner in hand, lighting the dark passage with a soft glow. The air was dry and heavy, carrying a faint metallic scent. It smelled old, like centuries of silence had settled into the walls. The corridor widened, revealing stone walls covered in more glowing symbols. Lena's eyes widened. "These are amazing," she said. She ran her hand over one of the carvings, and a soft vibration pulsed through her fingers. A strange warmth filled the air, making her skin tingle. As they walked deeper, the corridor opened into a large chamber. Dust floated in the pale light that came from the walls themselves. In the center of the room was a massive stone door, taller than any human and covered in more symbols. Lena approached it carefully, her fingers tracing the carvings. Miro examined his scanner. "There's some kind of energy field here. It's blocking all our devices. We won't be able to call anyone until we get through that door." Lena studied the carvings, her mind racing. She remembered the stories of the Viuri, who believed knowledge must be earned, not taken. "This is a test," she whispered. "They want us to think. To prove we are ready." Miro looked skeptical, but he nodded. "Then let's solve it." Lena examined the symbols more closely. Lines formed patterns that seemed like letters, but not in any language she knew. She noticed that some lines connected in ways that repeated throughout the carvings. "It's a riddle," she said. The Viuri left a puzzle to open the door. "We just need to figure out what it asks." Hours passed as Lena and Miro worked together, tracing lines, comparing symbols, and discussing possibilities. Sweat ran down their faces from the heat, and the silence around them was absolute. Not a sound escaped the tomb, even their own voices seemed muted, as if swallowed by the stone walls. Finally, Lena's eyes lit up. "I think I see it," she said. "The riddle is about courage and trust. We have to move together, without fear, to unlock the door." Miro took a deep breath. "All right. On three. 1, 2, 3, Lena said. They stepped forward simultaneously, touching the carvings at the points Lena had identified. The stone door shivered, then slowly began to slide open. Dust and dry air rushed out, revealing a long spiral staircase that descended into even deeper darkness. Lena smiled, her heart racing with excitement. "We're inside," she said. "The tomb of eternal silence. And this is only the beginning." The spiral staircase led Lena and Miro deeper into the tomb. Each step echoed faintly in the heavy silence, though no sound escaped beyond the walls. The air grew cooler, and a faint blue glow illuminated the carved symbols along the walls. Lena ran her fingers along them, feeling the same subtle vibration she had noticed at the entrance. "This place is incredible," she whispered, though the sound seemed absorbed by the stone. Miro glanced around nervously. "Incredible, yes, but also eerie. I do not like how quiet it is. Even our own voices feel swallowed." Lena nodded but pressed on. The staircase ended in a wide corridor lined with stone pillars. Each pillar was carved with symbols similar to the ones outside, but here they seemed more complex, forming patterns that twisted around each other. In the center of the corridor, a massive stone door blocked their path. Unlike the entrance, this door had no handles, no visible mechanism, only a set of glowing carvings forming a strange grid. "This must be another test," Lena said. The Viuri did not leave their knowledge unguarded. "Every step is designed to challenge those who enter." Miro examined the door with his scanner, which flickered weakly despite the tomb's strange energy. "I can detect some kind of energy pattern, but I cannot break it or override it. Whatever opens this door must be done in the way it wants." Lena knelt and studied the carvings. They formed what looked like a puzzle. Lines connected symbols in a repeating sequence. Some symbols glowed brighter when touched. She traced one with her finger and felt a soft pulse. "It responds to touch," she said. "I think we must activate the correct sequence." Hours passed as Lena and Miro tried different combinations. Each wrong attempt caused the door to hum, and a faint vibration ran through the floor. It was not dangerous, but the tomb seemed aware, testing their patience and teamwork. Lena realized the solution required more than logic, it demanded trust and coordination. "We have to work together," Lena said. "I will start the sequence, and you follow exactly where I touch next." Miro nodded, and they began. Step by step, they pressed symbols in careful order. The glow shifted as they progressed, forming a pattern that seemed to guide their hands. Their movements were slow, deliberate, and synchronized. Finally, a deep rumble echoed through the corridor as the massive door slid open, revealing a labyrinth beyond. The labyrinth was vast and complex, with twisting corridors and walls covered in carvings. Strange symbols glowed faintly, casting shifting shadows. Lena felt a mixture of awe and caution. "This is incredible," she said. "The Viori left this as a test of intelligence and courage. We must navigate carefully." Miro scanned the corridors with his portable device. "It seems to be changing. The walls are not fixed in one position. This labyrinth is alive in some way. We need to pay attention to patterns and clues." As they moved deeper, they noticed symbols on the floor and walls forming subtle directions. Some were geometric shapes, others resembled flowing lines. Lena touched a symbol and felt a pulse, like the tomb itself was guiding them. "It wants us to follow the path of understanding, not force our way through," she said. The corridors twisted and turned, testing their patience and observation skills. At one point, they encountered a chamber filled with shifting stone platforms. The floor beneath them would rise and fall if they stepped incorrectly. Lena examined the carvings along the walls and realized the correct path required counting the symbols and stepping only on platforms marked with prime numbers. Step by step, they moved forward, trusting Lena's calculations and Miro's careful scanning. When they reached the other side, a hidden passage opened, revealing a smaller chamber filled with faintly glowing crystals. Lena knelt and ran her hands along one of them. The crystal pulsed softly, as if acknowledging her touch. "These crystals are not just decoration," Lena said. "They are part of the tomb's mechanism. Perhaps they store energy or record information." Miro examined one with his scanner. "They respond to touch and movement. It is like the tomb itself is alive, adjusting to us as we move through it." Suddenly, the corridor behind them shifted, sealing the chamber. Lena and Miro realized the labyrinth was dynamic. It was designed to guide those who were careful, intelligent, and brave while keeping out the careless. Lena's mind raced with excitement. Every obstacle they overcame was a test, and each test brought them closer to the tomb's greatest secrets. "We must be careful," Lena said. "The Viori wanted only the worthy to reach the inner chambers. This labyrinth is not dangerous if we respect it, but reckless moves could trap us forever." Miro nodded. "Then we move slowly and thoughtfully. Step by step, we learn what the tomb wants us to learn." Together, they pressed on into the labyrinth, guided by the glowing symbols and their own intelligence. The deeper they went, the more Lena felt the presence of the Viori civilization. They were not just exploring a tomb, they were entering a world shaped by knowledge, discipline, and understanding. Every twist of the corridor, every puzzle, every glowing crystal, all pointed to one truth: the tomb of eternal silence was more than a resting place. It was a teacher. Lena took a deep breath and looked at Miro. "We are ready. The tomb will show us its secrets. We just have to follow its lessons." The labyrinth stretched before them, a challenge of mind, courage, and trust. Every step they took echoed the values of the Viori. Lena felt a thrill of anticipation. Beyond these walls lay knowledge that could change their world forever, but only if they proved themselves worthy. Lena and Miro moved carefully through the twisting labyrinth, their eyes following the faint glow of the Viori symbols. Each corridor seemed to shift subtly, guiding them towards something greater. The air grew cooler and carried a faint, almost metallic scent. Lena felt a thrill of anticipation. She had explored ruins before, but nothing like this. This tomb was alive, as if it held the memories of the civilization that built it. After what felt like hours, they reached a wide chamber. The walls were smooth and covered with panels of glowing crystal. Lena stepped forward and touched one. Instantly, a holographic image appeared in the air. It showed a figure of the Viore, tall and graceful, with flowing robes that shimmered like liquid metal. The figure did not speak but moved its hands, and symbols appeared around it, explaining their actions and discoveries. Miro gasped. It's a record. They left messages for anyone who reached this place. Lena nodded, her eyes shining. This is incredible. We are seeing their history, their knowledge, their way of thinking. The holographic figure guided them through images of Viore cities where science and art flourished together. Machines hovered silently, powered by clean energy, and citizens worked together in harmony, sharing knowledge freely. Lena felt awe and respect. They were so advanced. They valued learning, curiosity, and cooperation above everything. Miro examined one of the glowing panels. Look at this. These devices, they enhance mental focus and physical ability. They were not just smart, they were strong in mind and body. Lena touched another panel. A soft pulse of energy ran through her fingers and into her mind. For a moment, she saw visions of alien landscapes, complex equations, and technologies far beyond human understanding. It was overwhelming, yet fascinating. She pulled back, breathing deeply. We must be careful. The Viore technology is amazing, but we cannot misuse it. We need to understand it fully before we try anything. Miro nodded, though his curiosity made his hands twitch toward another panel. The tomb absorbs sound, but it responds to thought and touch. We can learn from it, but we must stay calm and focused. As they explored the chamber, Lena discovered another feature. The holographic figure began to show them tools and instruments designed to expand human potential. Some devices amplified memory and learning speed. Others improved coordination and strength. Lena realized that the Viore had discovered ways to develop humans beyond normal limits. These are gifts, not weapons, Lena said quietly. The Viore wanted their knowledge to help others grow, not to dominate or harm. Suddenly, Miro touched a crystal that pulsed more strongly than the others. A wave of energy spread through the chamber, and the holographic figure appeared larger, showing a series of floating glyphs. Lena and Miro could not speak aloud, but they felt the information entering their minds. They saw visions of distant stars, new forms of energy, and the Viore's method of peaceful communication across planets. This is what the tomb protects, Lena said. Not wealth, not power, but understanding. Knowledge that can help civilizations grow. Miro touched another crystal cautiously. He felt his body and mind sharpen, as if he could focus more clearly. It works, he whispered in his mind. I feel faster, smarter, more aware. But it is subtle. Not overwhelming. Lena smiled. We must control it. The Viore are testing how we handle their gifts. They want us to use them wisely, not recklessly. As they explored further, they noticed strange shapes moving along the walls, small shadows, almost like whispers. Lena frowned. Do you see that? It is like the tomb is alive. It is watching us, guiding us, maybe even learning from us. Miro nodded. The labyrinth, the crystals, the holograms, everything is connected. The tomb is more than a building. It is a system designed to teach and test. Lena's mind raced with excitement. Each discovery brought new questions and new possibilities. She realized the tomb held not only history but the potential for humanity to grow. If used wisely, the knowledge of the Viore could change the world. But if used recklessly, it could be dangerous. They spent hours studying the holographic panels, touching crystals, and learning from the Viore. Each piece of knowledge felt like a key unlocking another layer of understanding. Lena felt her mind expanding, her perception sharpening. Miro seemed more alert, moving with confidence and precision he had never shown before. Finally, Lena stood in the center of the chamber and looked at Miro. "We have learned a lot, but this is only the beginning. The tomb has more to teach us, and we must be ready for what comes next. The deepest secrets are still ahead." Miro nodded, feeling both excitement and caution. "We have the knowledge, but we need wisdom. The tomb will test us further, and we must not fail." Together, they moved toward a narrower corridor at the far end of the chamber. The symbols along the walls glowed brighter as they approached, as if welcoming their progress. Lena felt a mixture of thrill and reverence. They were not just explorers now, they were students of the Viore, stepping carefully into the lessons of a civilization that had achieved greatness. The Tomb of Eternal Silence held its greatest mysteries yet, and Lena knew that every challenge ahead would demand courage, intelligence, and respect. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to uncover the secrets that could change humanity forever. Lena and Miro followed the narrow corridor deeper into the tomb. The glowing symbols along the walls grew brighter, bathing the passage in soft blue light. The air felt charged, as if the very energy of the tomb flowed around them. Every step was careful, every movement deliberate. The labyrinth had prepared them for this moment, and they knew they were approaching something extraordinary. At the end of the corridor, the passage opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling stretched high above, disappearing into shadows, and in the center stood a figure that seemed alive yet made entirely of light and metal. It was tall and imposing, with arms that moved smoothly, almost like a dancer, and eyes that glowed with a calm intelligence. Lena and Miro stopped, feeling a mix of awe and caution. The figure's voice was not heard aloud, yet they understood it. "Welcome, seekers of knowledge," it said, its words forming directly in their minds. "I am the guardian of the tomb. All who enter must prove their purpose and worth. Only those who act with respect and courage may continue." Lena took a deep breath. "We come to learn," she said firmly, though the words traveled silently. "We seek knowledge, not power. We wish to understand the Viore and share their wisdom responsibly." The guardian's eyes glowed brighter, and it raised one hand. A series of floating symbols appeared around them. They were questions, not written in words but in shapes and images, testing their values and intentions. Lena felt the symbols pressing against her mind, not painfully, but demanding honesty and clarity. Miro stepped forward. "We must answer truthfully. This is a test of character, not strength," he said silently to Lena. She nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. The first challenge was understanding. A symbol representing a world filled with conflict appeared. Lena saw images of war and chaos, of civilizations that had misused knowledge and destroyed themselves. The Guardian asked, without words, how they would prevent such misuse if they gained the Viore's knowledge. Lena thought carefully and projected her answer clearly in her mind: "We would teach responsibly, share understanding, and guide others to use knowledge wisely. Knowledge is not for control or greed, but for growth." The Guardian's light pulsed. The next test appeared. It was a vision of temptation. Devices capable of immense power lay before them, promising wealth, influence, and fame. Miro felt a sudden desire to reach for them, to see what they could do. But he controlled himself, recalling Lena's words and their purpose. We will use these gifts for learning and helping others, not for personal gain, he thought firmly. The guardian watched, its glowing eyes assessing every thought and intention. A third challenge appeared, a vision of fear. Lena saw herself lost in a vast, dark corridor with walls closing in. Panic rose, but she forced herself to breathe calmly. Courage is not the absence of fear, she projected, but the strength to act despite it. We will face challenges together, with trust and patience. Miro followed, sensing the same trials within his own mind. The Guardian's test was not just for intelligence or bravery but for integrity, compassion, and humility. They realized that every obstacle in the labyrinth, every puzzle and challenge, had prepared them for this moment. After what felt like hours of mental trials, the Guardian's light dimmed slightly, and its posture relaxed. You have shown honesty, courage, and wisdom. You seek knowledge for the right reasons, and your hearts are aligned with the purpose of the Viuri. Lena and Miro felt a wave of relief and excitement. They had passed the Guardian's test. The chamber shifted, and a massive door at the far end began to slide open. Beyond it lay a passage lined with glowing crystals, leading deeper into the tomb. Before stepping forward, Lena turned to Miro. The Guardian is not just a protector, she said. It is a teacher. Every challenge is designed to shape us, to prepare us for the knowledge we will receive. Miro nodded, feeling the same reverence. We must continue carefully. The tomb has given us trust, and we must honor it. As they entered the new passage, they noticed that the light from the crystals pulsed in rhythm with their movements. Lena realized the tomb was aware of their presence, guiding them gently but firmly toward its secrets. The energy in the air was not threatening, but it demanded respect and attention. Lena touched one of the crystals. A gentle wave of understanding flowed into her mind, showing her glimpses of what lay ahead, chambers filled with knowledge, records of the Viuri civilization, and technology that could expand human potential. But she also sensed warnings: knowledge without wisdom could be dangerous. Miro walked beside her, scanning the crystals with his device. The tomb responds to our thoughts and actions, he observed. It is alive in a way, a system designed to teach, protect, and guide. They moved forward together, ready for whatever awaited them. The Guardian had tested their intentions, and they had proven themselves worthy. Lena felt a mix of excitement, curiosity, and respect. The Tomb of Eternal Silence was more than a resting place for a lost civilization. It was a living lesson in courage, integrity, and wisdom. With each step, Lena and Miro felt closer to the heart of the tomb, and closer to the secrets that could change not only their lives but the future of humanity. They understood now that knowledge alone was not enough. It had to be paired with character, courage, and responsibility. As the glowing passage led them deeper into the tomb, Lena whispered silently, "We are ready. Whatever comes next, we will face it together, with respect for the Viuri and their wisdom." The glowing passage led Lena and Miro to a vast chamber unlike any they had seen before. The walls were smooth and luminous, casting a soft golden light that seemed to come from within the stone itself. The air was still and heavy, carrying a sense of calm and reverence. Lena could feel the tomb's energy vibrating gently around them, as if it were alive and aware of their presence. In the center of the chamber stood a massive crystalline structure, towering above them. Its surface shimmered with colors that shifted like liquid, reflecting the light from the walls. Lena felt a sudden sense of awe. She knew immediately that this was the heart of the Tomb of Eternal Silence, the central artifact that held the knowledge and wisdom of the Viuri civilization. Miro stepped forward cautiously, scanning the crystal with his portable device. "It is incredible," he whispered. "I have never seen technology like this. It feels alive, not mechanical. It is more than a machine, it is a store of knowledge, a mind of its own." Lena nodded, her eyes fixed on the crystal. The Viori wanted their knowledge preserved, but not for power. They wanted it to teach, to guide, and to inspire. This artifact is the key to understanding their civilization, their values, and their vision for the future. As Lena reached out and touched the crystal, a wave of energy surged through her mind. Images and information flooded in at once. She saw the Viori cities in full splendor, their people creating art, building machines, and studying the stars. She glimpsed their scientific discoveries, their methods for understanding the universe, and their ways of enhancing physical and mental abilities. It was overwhelming, yet she felt a clarity she had never known before. Miro followed, placing his hand on the crystal. He felt his senses sharpen, his mind becoming more alert. He could perceive patterns in the room, subtle flows of energy, and even small details in the carvings they had passed earlier that he had not noticed before. "It is like it knows us," he said silently. "It is teaching us, showing us what the Viori valued most." The crystal communicated without words, transferring understanding directly into their minds. Lena realized that the Viori had designed this artifact to be a living record of their civilization, a method for future generations to learn without relying on language or writing alone. It was a test of patience, focus, and humility. Those who rushed or acted selfishly would be overwhelmed, but those who approached with respect and intention could absorb its knowledge. Hours passed as Lena and Miro explored the visions within the crystal. They saw distant planets, advanced technologies, and ways to harness energy without harming the environment. They saw methods to improve memory, coordination, and creativity. The Viori had left behind tools not for war or domination, but for personal and collective growth. Yet, with the knowledge came challenges. The crystal also showed Lena visions of fear, failure, and loss. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her mind. Knowledge alone was not enough, it required wisdom, patience, and integrity to use effectively. She realized that the Viori had designed the tomb to test not just intelligence, but character. Miro withdrew slightly and spoke silently. "We must be careful. The knowledge is powerful, but it could be dangerous if misused. The tomb is guiding us, but we cannot let pride or greed take over." Lena nodded. "We have learned patience, courage, and respect so far. We must continue to apply these lessons. The crystal will only give us what we are ready to receive." As they absorbed more of the artifact's knowledge, Lena felt a sense of connection to the Viori. She could sense their intentions, their love for learning, and their hope for the future. It was as if they had built this tomb not just to protect their civilization, but to inspire and elevate those who found it. The chamber seemed to respond to their thoughts. The crystals along the walls pulsed gently, matching their focus and calm. Lena realized that the tomb was not just a repository of knowledge, it was a living teacher, designed to guide explorers toward understanding themselves as much as the Viori. Miro experimented with one of the smaller crystals. He felt his awareness expand, his senses becoming more precise. He could see the flow of energy in the room and understand patterns in the carvings and the labyrinth they had passed. "It is giving us tools," he said. "Not just knowledge, but the ability to use it wisely." Lena smiled, feeling both excitement and humility. This is why the tomb tests those who enter. Knowledge without responsibility is dangerous. The Vyuri wanted to ensure that only those with courage, wisdom, and respect could carry their lessons forward. As they continued to explore the chamber, they realized that the artifact's knowledge was limitless, yet patient. It revealed itself in layers, offering guidance step by step. Lena and Miro understood that their journey was far from over. The tomb had more to teach, and they were ready to learn. Finally, Lena stepped back from the crystal, taking a deep breath. We have learned much, but the greatest lessons are still ahead. We must remain humble, courageous, and thoughtful. Only then can we truly honor the Vyuri and their knowledge. Miro nodded, feeling the same mixture of awe and responsibility. Together, they moved toward the next passage, ready to face the final tests of the tomb. The silent chamber had shown them the heart of the Vyuri civilization and the power of its wisdom. Now, they were prepared for whatever came next. After leaving the silent chamber, Lena, Miro, and Sana entered a narrower corridor lined with faintly glowing crystals. The air felt warmer, yet heavy with anticipation. Each step echoed softly in their minds, not with sound, but with the energy of the tomb itself. They knew they were approaching the final chamber, where the deepest secrets of the Vyuri awaited. Sana paused and looked at the walls. These symbols, they seem to warn us. The tomb is asking questions before we reach the heart. It is testing our intentions once more. Lena nodded. We have learned much already. The knowledge we have absorbed is powerful, but this final chamber will challenge us differently. It is not about intelligence, but about responsibility. The corridor opened into a massive hall. In the center, the crystalline artifact from the silent chamber appeared again, floating above a pedestal of glowing stone. Its light was brighter than before, and the air vibrated with energy. Lena stepped forward, feeling a mixture of awe and caution. The artifact seemed to recognize them, pulsing gently as if greeting them. Sana studied the crystal carefully. We can take it. We could bring it to our world and use it to advance humanity. But the tomb, it feels alive. I think it wants us to make a choice. Miro glanced around the chamber, scanning every surface. Removing it could be risky. The tomb has protected this knowledge for centuries. If we take it, we might not understand it fully, and it could be misused. But leaving it, means leaving most of its secrets behind. Lena took a deep breath. She felt the energy of the artifact pressing gently against her mind, offering visions of what could be possible if they took it. Cities that floated above oceans, energy that powered entire planets, and human minds reaching extraordinary heights. The temptation was strong. But alongside the visions were warnings. She saw civilizations collapsing under greed and misuse of knowledge. She understood the Vyuri's intention clearly. Knowledge was a gift, but only to those who could respect it. We have a responsibility, Lena said softly. The tomb has tested us, prepared us, and guided us. But it also warns us. The artifact is not meant to be removed. It is meant to be respected, understood, and protected. Sana nodded slowly. Then we take what we can carry in ourselves. The knowledge, the skills, and the lessons. Not the artifact itself. We honor it by being responsible, not by taking it away. Miro agreed. We have already absorbed so much. We can share what we have learned, without risking the misuse of its full power. The tomb's gift is within us now. That is more important than the crystal itself. The chamber pulsed as Lena approached the artifact. She placed her hand lightly on its surface. A gentle warmth spread through her body, and visions of the Vyuri civilization filled her mind once more. She saw their achievements, their methods for improving human potential, and their philosophy of cooperation and wisdom. She felt the knowledge settle within her, not overwhelming her, but giving her clarity, focus, and understanding. Miro and Sana did the same. Each felt a deep connection to the Vyuri, and a sense of responsibility settling over them. They realized that the tomb had prepared them not just to receive knowledge, but to carry it with integrity. The crystal did not need to leave the tomb, its lessons had been entrusted to worthy minds. As they stepped back, the artifact pulsed once more, and a soft glow spread throughout the chamber. The tomb seemed to acknowledge their choice, approving their decision. Lena smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment. They had made the right choice, balancing curiosity with wisdom, desire with responsibility. Sana spoke quietly. The tomb is more than a place of knowledge. It is a teacher. It tests not just skill and intelligence, but character. And we have passed. Miro nodded. We carry the essence of the Vyuri now. The artifact stays here, safe. And we leave with the understanding and guidance we need to help humanity grow. The corridor behind them shifted, signaling the tomb's acceptance. The glowing crystal seemed to shine brighter, lighting a clear path back toward the entrance. Lena, Miro, and Sana walked together, feeling the weight of responsibility in their minds and hearts, but also a renewed sense of purpose. As they moved forward, Lena reflected on what they had learned. Knowledge without wisdom was dangerous. Power without responsibility could destroy worlds. The Vyuri had understood this, and they had designed the tomb to ensure that only those who were ready could benefit. Lena realized that the true gift of the Tomb of Eternal Silence was not technology, not artifacts, but the growth it inspired in those who sought it with pure intentions. The team continued through the passage, leaving the heart of the tomb behind. The artifact remained protected, its full power reserved for those who could honor it. Lena felt a deep sense of pride and reverence. They had been chosen not just to explore, but to learn, to grow, and to carry the lessons forward. By the time they reached the final corridor leading to the desert outside, the sun was low in the sky, casting warm light across the sand. Lena, Miro, and Sana emerged from the tomb, carrying the essence of the Vyuri within their minds and hearts. They looked back at the entrance, now silent and still, a reminder that some secrets are meant to be protected, and some knowledge is entrusted only to those who are ready. Lena smiled, her heart filled with hope. We are ready to return, she said. And we will use what we have learned to guide, to inspire, and to help humanity reach its potential. Miro and Sana nodded in agreement. Together, they stepped into the desert, carrying the wisdom of the Tomb of Eternal Silence, knowing that the greatest treasures are those that teach, transform, and endure. The desert of Iridian stretched endlessly before Lena, Miro, and Sana as they stepped out of the tomb. The sun was setting, painting the sand in shades of gold and orange. A cool wind swept across the dunes, carrying with it the stillness of the ancient place they had just left. The Tomb of Eternal Silence was behind them now, sealed and protected, its knowledge safe within its walls. Yet inside them, the lessons of the Vyuri burned brightly, alive and guiding. Lena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over her shoulders. We have been entrusted with more than knowledge, she said quietly. The Vyuri have given us wisdom, courage, and understanding. It is our job to use it carefully, to help others without harming anyone. Miro nodded, scanning the horizon. We already feel different. Stronger, clearer, more aware. The tomb has changed us, not just with knowledge, but with perspective. We have the tools to help humanity grow. Sana smiled, her eyes reflecting the sunset. And we have to be patient. We cannot rush this. The lessons are powerful, but they must be applied slowly, thoughtfully. That is how the Viuri would want it. Together, they made their way back to their transport ship, carrying only themselves and the wisdom they had absorbed. The tomb's glowing entrance faded behind them as the desert wind shifted the sands. It was silent now, as it had been for centuries, waiting for the next worthy travelers who might come seeking its secrets. On the journey back to their home planet, Lena reflected on everything they had experienced. She thought about the labyrinth, the challenges, the guardian, and the silent chamber. Each step had tested their minds, hearts, and spirits. They had faced fear, temptation, and the lure of power, yet they had chosen integrity, courage, and patience. The knowledge was never just about technology or science, Lena said to Miro and Sana. It was about understanding ourselves, our choices, and our responsibilities. That is the greatest lesson of all. Miro nodded, looking out the window at the stars stretching across the void. We can start small, teaching what we know in ways that help others. We can share ideas, methods, and insights, without risking the full power of the tomb. This is how we honor it. Sana spoke softly, her voice filled with hope. We can inspire innovation, cooperation, and growth. The Viuri wanted knowledge to guide civilizations, not control them. We will follow that path. When they landed on their home planet, they were greeted by familiar landscapes, bustling cities, and people unaware of the wonders they had encountered. Lena felt a sense of purpose swell within her. She, Miro, and Sana had been changed forever. The tomb had given them insight, but it had also entrusted them with a responsibility greater than themselves, to guide humanity toward its potential. They began to share what they had learned. Not the full secrets of the tomb, but lessons of focus, cooperation, curiosity, and wisdom. They developed new ways to solve problems, improve technology responsibly, and help communities work together. People noticed their clarity of thought and creative ideas, though no one understood the full depth of what had guided them. Lena worked with engineers and scientists to develop energy systems inspired by the principles of the Viuri. Miro helped create training methods that enhanced learning and coordination. Sana focused on education, teaching patience, observation, and critical thinking. Slowly, the seeds of change began to grow, spreading through society quietly but steadily. Yet Lena always remembered the tomb. She would often stand on a hill at sunset, looking toward the desert of Viridian, imagining the glowing entrance and the silent lessons within. She felt gratitude for the opportunity, but also humility. Some knowledge is too powerful to wield recklessly, and some secrets are meant to inspire rather than dominate. One evening, as Lena, Miro, and Sana gathered to reflect on their work, Lena spoke softly. The tomb taught us more than knowledge. It taught us responsibility, courage, and humility. That is what we must carry forward. Humanity can achieve greatness, but only if we act with care and respect. Miro smiled, feeling the same sense of purpose. We have seen what is possible. Now it is up to us to help others see it too, in ways they can understand and use responsibly. Sana nodded. And we must remember that growth is a journey. The lessons of the Viuri will guide us, but we must continue learning, observing, and improving. That is the real gift of the tomb of eternal silence. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lena felt a sense of peace and hope. They had faced the tomb's tests, absorbed its wisdom, and returned to their world ready to make a difference. The journey had changed them forever, but it had also prepared them to guide others toward a brighter future. The tomb remained silent, hidden beneath the sands of Viridian, its secrets preserved. but its lessons lived on through Lina, Miro, and Sanaa, inspiring humanity to reach its potential with courage, wisdom, and respect. The story of the Tomb of Eternal Silence ended not with power or domination, but with understanding, growth, and the promise of a better tomorrow. And for Lina, Miro, and Sanaa, the adventure had only just begun.